Hello, friends. I'm Tom Sinclair, That VidBlaster Guy, with another episode of That VidBlaster Guy. I think we're up to 17 now. The first few ones were really terrible. If you go back into our YouTube archives, you can tell that we didn't quite know what we were doing. In fact, sometimes I think I still don't know what I'm doing. But if you're just joining us for the first time, That VidBlaster Guy show is dedicated to proving the theory that one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. And we're still working on the awesome broadcast part of that theme, but for right now, we've got the one guy and the one PC, and then we've got a fairly good broadcast. And as you may remember if you've watched this before, that generally we have one of three themes that we're working with on each of the shows. Sports broadcasting, which has been a real popular topic, and that gives us a chance to sort of showcase VidBlaster's scoreboard and the instant replay, the new slow motion instant replay. That's pretty cool. And the second theme is talk show broadcasting, and how VidBlaster is great for doing talk show because we've got green screen, like the green screen behind me, which of course is not green for you, it's green for me. And the third category is church broadcasting, and I'm delighted that my friend Jim Molen will be on with us in just a few minutes to talk about church broadcasting. He's actually set up at his church and is going to do some demos for us right there in the church. So this is really going to be neat. If you're watching us after the fact, video on demand in the YouTube library, we would love to have you come and join us every Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock London time, and join the chat. So, and we welcome the gentlemen and ladies that are in the chat today. Before I bring Jim on, do have a couple of exciting announcements, I think. One is that VidBlaster has a new official release version, and that is version 2.27. That will now be considered an official release and is considered stable and has tons of new features as compared to the last official release version, 2.09. So if you are still using 2.09 or any one of the ones prior to 2.27, I would encourage you to update to that one. It's just a matter of going to the VidBlaster forum, which is forum.vidblaster.com, and scroll down to the downloads section and then select the 2.27, and you can download it and install it there. If you have never tried VidBlaster and you'd like to try it, do exactly the same thing. Go to forum.vidblaster.com, go to the download section of the forum, and download it and install it. If you're not a licensed user, you'll have a little trial logo in the top corner over here that says VidBlaster Trial Edition. If you are a licensed user, then you'll just get to use it the way that you already have. So that's 2.27. Really excited about that. The other exciting news, I think, if you haven't seen it in the last 3 or 4 days, is that Mike Versteeg, the developer of VidBlaster over in the Netherlands, has put forth another request for what shall I work on now. As you may recall, he's done that twice before. Once he did it with optimizing HD, and the second time he did it with the video replay, the slow motion, or what they call video replay 3, which allows us to do slow motion and capture clips and that kind of thing. So he's gotten to the point where he wants to ask, what do you want me to work on again? And it looks like it's going to be the completion of the HD puzzle. Some VidBlaster users have experienced skips or dropped frames or jerkiness in the video as they get into the 720, 1080 resolutions. And so he's going to be working specifically on those issues to smooth out that video at high resolutions. And that's really exciting. For folks that do talk shows, that have been doing HD, this will mean that my head nodding up and down won't nod like this. For folks that are doing sports and are doing HD at sports, bless your hearts if you're doing that, it should really smooth out your video there too. Go to the forum, forum.vidblaster.com, and join in the chat about that so that you can make sure if you've got a specific issue, it may be just specific to your PC, On the other hand, it may be specific to VidBlaster, and we'd like to get that worked out. So that's pretty exciting stuff. So 2 pieces of news. 2.27 is an official release. If you've been waiting around to upgrade your software, now's the time to do it, 2.27. And chime in if you've got HD and you want to optimize your HD. Join in the chat on that in the VidBlaster forum so that we can make sure we cover all the bases on this next big part of the internet broadcasting software puzzle. It's kind of funny. You talk to people that are doing this thing that we do, and some folks are webcasting, some are video podcasting. I really like what Andrew Zarian, the guy from Queens with the guys from Queens Network, he's used the term internet broadcasting. And I think that really sums it up. For a lot of folks, that means audio only, kind of like radio over the internet. But I think it really covers all the bases, and internet broadcasting is what I'm going to call it from here on out. So I would encourage you, if you like that, to use that. And if you don't, let me know. We'd like to hear what you think about that too. The most popular video on demand that is in the That VidBlaster Guy archives has been show number 2. And that was an alpha show. It was not well produced. It was not well played. Not that these are the greatest, but that was the second one that we'd ever done. And so there were lots of kind of bugs and flaws in the process. Alan Bunt with Good Shepherd Lutheran Church came on and had a demo tape that he played showing his system. And that has been, to date, the most watched video of all of our shows. We're up over 500 views on that one show. And so I thought, well, let's do it again. And I called my friend Jim Molen and I said, Jim, you got to be on the show. And at first he was a little reluctant. And as we chatted over the weeks, finally I think he realized that he's doing a pretty darn good job. And so it's time to bring him out from behind the curtain and let him demo for us what he's doing. Now, Jim is at Greenville Presbyterian Church in Greenville, South Carolina. So let me bring Jim in. And Jim, make sure we got some audio on you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
We are glad to have you here. I asked Jim, I said, I've got to put a title underneath your name. What title do you want me to put? What was it you said? It was really a hoot.
Genuine nice guy.
Yes, genuine nice guy. As if the other guy over here was not a genuine nice guy. I mean, really, give me a break. No, just teasing.
I actually got that from my father-in-law, who was a salesman all his life, and he used to go by the nickname Fairly Honest Bob.
I like that. Most of the time, honest. That's right. Good. Well, Jim, you are at the church.
Yep.
And you have taken one of your 3 cameras that used to cover the sanctuary, and that's kind of set up behind you so that we can have a look over your shoulder, as if it were. All 49 people, peering over your shoulder at one time. Tell me, let's start at the beginning. Tell me how you got into broadcasting. I mean, what's your background? What put broadcasting on your radar?
Well, as I explained to you, I'm not the traditional computer geek. I gotten into this whole area because my background has been professional broadcasting. When I was in college way back when, I was a C student, didn't know what I was wanting to do, began to take a couple of broadcasting courses, got straight A's, figured maybe that's the reason. And so I did, at that point, decide that I wanted to get into broadcasting. And I was in broadcasting full time for a considerable amount of years, probably about 20 years. And then got out of it due to some circumstances. But once the equipment became available, camera-wise, editing-wise, and then now VidBlaster with the switching-wise, it really allowed me to come back in and do what I used to do professionally with a 40-foot remote truck or in a studio or in a local station or in a network, it allowed me to do it from the comfort of my own computer. And it's what I've always loved to do. It's what I really enjoy more than anything. And so it was really kind of a no-brainer for me to start getting involved in this again. And then as far as the church is concerned, we are a small church, and we wanted to do something to expand and get the word out and so on and so forth. We didn't have a lot of money, and it worked really well as we began to research out and put together a package to be able to get out the information we wanted to.
Jim, how many folks are helping you with this project?
I have one other person essentially that is with me, kind of my partner in crime as we consider moving outside and begin to work in other areas and in more of a business aspect in this. He goes to the same church as I do, and he was here before I was, and he used to always do the audio. So he essentially still continues to do the audio, and the video, I do it. And then we've got a college kid that fills in for him if he's not here, and I just continue to press forward. We have 3 cameras, but they're all locked down. We don't have any movement per se. I can show you on the wide shot. I do have 2 of the cameras right by me, so I actually am the camera person for both of them too. I can show you that if you want me to.
All right.
This camera here and this one that is now on me is normally turned around on the pulpit. Then the one that I've got behind here is in the back of the sanctuary on a wide shot. So I've got a wide shot, a medium shot, and a tight shot, and I'm able to mix it up that way. And then I can take either this camera or this camera and change it. So if we have some kind of a special event or a baptism or something that we need, we also do a catechism class on the web, and so I'm constantly moving the cameras back and forth for that, and I'm able to do that right from where I'm at. It works pretty well. The problem is that I don't have an angle that is going to be from both sides. Both of them are kind of for one side, and so a shoulder gets in the way on one shot is probably going to be in the way on the other shot too. But it's better than nothing, and like I say, I can do it all myself.
Now, did you start out with 3 cams?
Yeah, we did.
So you just dove in full force.
Yeah, we did. My whole thing is that coming from the broadcasting background that I did, I wanted to bring to the internet the product that I was going to bring. I wanted to bring it in the best possible configuration as I could. I kind of used my sports background as a model. For example, if you're sitting at an arena watching a football game and you're up in the nosebleed section, you see the little ants running around the field, and then you watch the replays on the Jumbotron, and that's how you watch the game. So I wanted to be able to bring the quote unquote action, or the most important thing that's going on. I wanted to be able to bring it into the home and not be like 90% of the church webcasts out there where you've got maybe a head to foot shot or wider. You don't see the person, and it's just a single shot. It's pretty boring. The information is good, but it's still boring. And I wanted to try to upgrade from that and add variety to it. So I try to put a lot of things into a lot of different elements into the webcast.
I was watching a YouTube video online last night. I guess all YouTube videos are online. That was silly. Anyway, it was somebody using the trial version of VidBlaster in a dance and music venue, and I think they had 4 or 5 cameras set up, and they changed from camera to camera to camera to camera about every second and a half or every 2 seconds. It was hugely distracting, but I could see if they just left it on a single cam the entire time, it would be hugely disinteresting. So there's kind of that middle ground there where you're getting a wide enough shot for everybody to see what's going on, and then a close. Is that how you've got it set up, with a wide shot? and then
Yeah,
some narrower shots?
I'll be on the wide shot that would be on this camera, on the webcam. Obviously, you on a webcam, you get the widest possible shot. It's going to be real wide. It includes about 80% of the people that would be sitting in there in that shot. And then I'll use another shot that would be like this on this particular camera, and I can just pan it here. You see, I wouldn't make this kind of movement on the air. It's just, I don't like jerky movements. So I always try to adjust cameras when you're off. But I've got, full zoom capabilities.
Oh my goodness.
So I can get right down. Now I don't have anybody standing up there, but you can see right on the corner of the pulpit, for example, I can go to something like that. So I can be wide or I can be tight. And then the other camera, which I now have on me, this camera right here, would be turned around, and that would be wide or tight, depending upon wherever the other one is. So I can mix and match those two.
Jim, what are the cameras? What camera? What kind are they?
We're using a Canon, and I don't know, Vixia, something or another.
Okay.
They were $249 each, and they work great. The only negative to it is that being a consumer camera, if you're not in record mode, they'll shut themselves off. So that's the first thing I do whenever I get here, is I go in and I delete all of the internal video that's been saved on the camera and set it up, hit record, and it continues to record for 6 or 8 hours without stopping. So once I started recording, I don't need to worry about it, and I just delete it the next time I come in again.
So you're not even doing anything with the recording, just using it as a way of keeping the camera on.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now I saw when you zoomed on the podium there, and you were showing the sanctuary and you were moving a little bit back and forth. I thought I saw some artifacts there. Are those cameras set up for interlacing or progressive mode? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a geek.
Well, hey, being a geek's not a bad thing.
No, I'm not. It's not. I just can't answer that question.
Okay.
When I was in broadcasting, I was the production guy. I was the producer, the director. And, I used to love to go and do the events because I knew the engineers would have everything tweaked perfectly, and all I had to do was go and be creative. And, now I've got to obviously do a little bit more because I don't have the people to do it, so I've got to learn a little bit. But that's still not where I'm really excited about doing things. I'd much rather get involved in the production and, making things look better and adding the graphics and the variety of the camera shots and so on and so forth. That's much more where I'd rather be.
Understood. So you're geek by necessity.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Michael M. in the chat room says that he thinks that the Vixia has a setting on it. Let me see what he says exactly. He says that his Vixia has a shut-off defeat setting in the menus.
If I'll look for it. We looked for it once and we couldn't find it, but that was a year ago now, and it probably is something we might be able to look at. But if you can maybe send me some more specific instructions, I can do that.
I tell you what, if you will send me the manual. Not the manual, excuse me, but the Canon model number. I'll put it in the show notes, and we can try to track down if that's a feature that your camera does offer. And that's been one of the things in working with folks. I mean, I'm working with folks every week that are doing different types of shows. I'm a VidBlaster reseller. And so folks are coming to me to get the product, and then when they face some technical problems, maybe not even VidBlaster related, they'll call me and say, Tom, would you happen to know? And I would say at least a third of the issues that I get are definitely camera-related issues and are generally settings within the camera that are just not set right. It's like, talking to Mike Phillips about audio, and, I'm sure he finds out that 50% or more of the folks that he talks with about audio don't have their mixers set up properly. And that's why they're having problems. They're trying to correct what they think is a problem by doing something else, and it goes from bad to worse. Anyway, I see Martin has joined us in the chat room. Welcome. Glad to have you with us.
I know somebody had mentioned that a week or two ago, that's one of the inherent issues in the lower grade cameras is that they do have to be in a record mode. So maybe this can be turned.
Gotcha. That may be the case.
It's not a big deal, you know, as long as you remember that and just start it up before we do anything.
I've got a pair of Canon Vixias. They're HF100s, so that it's a high definition camera. I'm not using it high def, and that's not what you're seeing from me today. Today, I'm using my Logitech C920, but I do use my Vixias when I'm doing sports and other productions away from the studio, and I love them. I can't wait to upgrade my system when VidBlaster gets its HD upgraded to use all HD. He's going to look for a model number.
HFR11.
HFR11. I've not heard of that one.
Well.
All right, let me make a note of that. And they're both the same, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and then the webcam is a Logitech 910.
Okay. Good one. Now, in addition to just broadcasting, you're doing some graphics and PowerPoint stuff?
Yeah, when we, again, as I said, we try to make the webcast, the internet broadcast, excuse me, we try to make that as interesting as we can. And so what I'll do, let me just show you, for example, let's see, I would for example start with something like this. I usually put this up about 5 minutes before we begin the broadcast, and then as we are coming into the broadcast, then I'd undercut to the wide shot, for example, there, and then I might undercut to the camera that's on the pulpit, and then I dissolve that full, something like that. So I would transition in, and then I've got a number of PowerPoints that are available. And what I'll do is set up, for example, if we're going to do the pastor's going to do a scripture reading. Let me move this in and show you. For example, this would be on a tight shot like this, and I would be on a wide shot, for example, and as he's going to read, I would come to a split screen like this as he introduces what he's going to read, and then as he actually begins to read it, I would go to it full, and we would have the entire scripture there. So as he goes through it, I would just read along with him and change it. We would do this for the singing. We would do this for the reading. Again, the reason being is I want people to be able to enter in, and if they happen to be just tuning in, not knowing we're here, they're not going to have a Bible. They're not going to have anything they can sing along with. But if I've got it on the screen, they're going to be able to do that. And so I want to try to get that in there as much as I can. Then I'll be, oftentimes I'll use a lower third. That's not me, that's the pastor, but I'll use it for here just to show you. And then I'll use, let's see, like the Psalms. We sing exclusively the Psalms rather than uninspired hymns, and that will be up in that format there. And again, I will have introduced that through this kind of a split screen type of thing. And usually, and what I've tried to do is I've kept it very simple. We'll probably use this. We sing like four different Psalms. We've got 2 different scripture readings. So there'll be 6 or 7 times throughout the broadcast that I'll use this effect, and I'll try to leave that effect set up all the time on one effects monitor, and then on the other effects monitor, I will. I've just started doing this. Let me. Oops. I'll use something like. Okay, you know that, for example, I'll be on a shot like this, which would be wider, and it'd have the pastor in the right, for example, and then I would, I'd put in something like that where I've got him over on the left side, and then he would introduce the scripture that he's going to be using for the text of the sermon, and then I'd cut directly to him. The other nice thing is that I record the entire service using the main recorder. But one of the things that we want to be able to do is that we want to save the sermon portion for later use. And I don't like to use WMVs for any kind of later use. Especially if it's going to be like a DVD or something else. It just doesn't have the quality for it. So I've been very glad to use the MPEG recorder in addition, and I'll start that up right before the sermon starts and leave that on a static camera. And then no matter what switching I do to the webcast, whether I use the graphic like I was showing you in this case, or whether I use other shots within the service audience, congregation, or different angles on the pastor, the main recording for use later will be just the straight single shot. There won't be any graphics on it at all, so it's a clean feed. So that's really worked out well to be able to have that kind of flexibility.
That's cool. Who did your graphics?
I do.
What software do you use?
I use PowerPoint CS4 and Photoshop CS4 and Premiere CS4 when I need to edit things.
Okay, very good, very good. Now let's see. I think Bruce had a question in the chat room. How are your cameras connected to your PC?
I'm using the two cameras here. These two are going through, again, we were on a budget, so I didn't go with the Blackmagic. I went with the AverMedia capture cards. I don't have the number, but they're like $107 a piece. And so that's what I've got going back in. Right now I'm using the composite on both of them. I have used component. Interestingly enough, it doesn't seem to be much difference, and so it's just easier with one as a composite to plug it in than three on the component. But interestingly enough, I was telling Tom, one little tip that we had that I didn't know would work, and I don't know if it would work again, but we needed to do a wedding. We did a wedding in June, and I was actually able to the friend of mine who also works with me has got some professional cameras, and we actually were able to hook up both the video component or video composite and the component on the same card, which gave me 2 cameras per card, and then adding the webcast allowed me to do a 5-camera wedding and we actually took that off-site and did it remote about 30 miles from here. So it was kind of an interesting experience. But we were able to get that. Now, I don't know if the AverMedias are designed that way or not, but it worked for me.
What a bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 for the price of 1 or 4 for the price of 2.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Indeed. I like bonuses like that. Michael M. has posted in the chat room that he's located his manual for his Canon. His Canon is an HFR21, which probably, if the numbering goes right, is a big brother or close cousin of the HFR11 that you've got. And he said that he's got auto shutoff that's found under the function menu wrench icon, power saving mode. So, something
Okay.
for the future
Okay.
to look at. And then Bruce has got a question. What CDN are you using, and why do you like them?
We use Sermon Audio, and the reason being is that I don't know if you're familiar with Sermon Audio, but that's basically all there is sermons on there. It started out strictly as audio about I think 7 or 8 years ago. Before I moved to Greenville, I had heard about it, and as it turns out, it's a gentleman from Greenville that actually owns it and runs it. I've met him, had lunch with him. He's a great guy. We have, as a church, we've been putting our sermons audio-wise up there for years, and we also were putting up the recorded videos that we would do before we were ever webcasting. And then when we first started webcasting, what we did do is we were doing them on live stream, and we did that basically just to kind of get some experience doing it. We weren't promoting it or anything like that, and we were able to have a lot of beta shows as we were talking about, and discover a lot of problems. Obviously, with live stream, the thing that we didn't like was the commercials that would pop up. It was free, but then again, you get what you pay for, kind of a thing. And so we also were not getting the audience that we wanted. There was really not a good way to promote it or anything like that. But with Sermon Audio, there's a lot of internal promotion. There are a tremendous amount of people that go there and are looking for things, basically what we've got to offer. And so there's a lot of internal promotion there, and we're webcasting, there's people all over now that are seeing us, and it does cost a little bit, but not at all. I think it's like $5 an hour or something like that, and it doesn't matter how many people we've got watching or anything like that. So our normal service is like an hour and a half long, so basically for $15 we can have it webcast. The only downside to it is they don't record. So if I want to put something up later, I have to record it myself on site here. But other than that, we use that, and it's very, very effective. It would be nice. I've been seeing in the chat room some of the other suggestions that people have been using, and I want to look into some of that too, because using the tricks and tips that Tom's given on feeding 2 different CDNs recently, I'm looking for other outlets that we can put it up more than one place at the same time.
I think Amnon Nissan is watching today and in the chat room, and his Sunday morning show is a bunch of old guys just sitting around talking tech. It's the most hilarious. Excuse me. It's a very stand-up, strict and straight, serious program. But they are streaming the main feed to Bamboozer, which is what is embedded in their website, and then they're streaming another stream, I think a little lower quality, to Ustream with a crawl across the bottom saying, go to the Bamboozer stream for a better broadcast. And I think he's getting a lot of drive-by views at that point, folks that end up going over to his Bamboozer stream.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We actually have 2 different streams. So Sermon Audio will stream 2 different streams for us, 2 different qualities, and then we take the better of those 2 and actually embed it into our church website, so people can watch it through our church website or directly on Sermon Audio.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, where are you for your videos on demand? Where are you housing those? Who's hosting that?
What I've been doing now is that I'm not at this point having the video on demands for the entire services. What I have done and only because we began this particular procedure when the pastor began a series, we have just this last Sunday, in fact, finished a 1.5-year series on 1st and 2nd Samuel. And what I have done is basically taken just those sermons, edit them, again, like I said, using the single feed. And those are up, and I use Vimeo for that. And then that, they've got a pretty neat hub nut that's kind of turns as you have things available. I've got that embedded onto our archive site on the our archive page on the website. And so people are able to go and watch it right there. And I don't, again, if I can try to have everything coming through my site, the church site, it's going to be better. Then I've not got them going to Sermon Audio or got them going to Vimeo or whatever. They can come right to our site and have access to everything right through our site. That's the ideal.
What's the website for your church?
GreenvillePresbyterian.com.
.com. Okay. Let's see if I can get that up there. Oops, that's a little too low. One of the strengths of VidBlaster that I didn't even know was a strength was the ability to do text on the fly. And so here we go. We got, if you want to go and see the archives, there it is. You can go straight to the URL. So, Jim, when you get your hit report at the end of the month and you see a big bump of like thousands of people today, it was probably from this show.
Right. That's what it'll be. That's what it'll be.
Let's see. We've got some other ideas in the chat room.
Here, that'll help you.
Okay, let me go full screen on that one. Yeah, there we go. Gotcha. That's great. Yeah, somebody had this suggestion earlier of putting the time and the time zone on your pre-service graphic.
I do that here.
There you go. Asked and answered.
There you go.
Perfect. Very cool.
So it'd be like that.
Very cool. Now, you did all of this for less than $2,500. Tell me.
Yeah, I was totaling the whole thing up the other day. Let me just look here. I've got it.
Switch back to your shot, your headshot.
I'm going to do that, but you're going to see me.
Oh, you're getting something ready. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you're going to see me leaning in. This way, I can do it. See, I do that off camera, so you can't see me. Then I come back to it, and I'm all ready to go.
Works for me.
We got a Gateway i7, which was just under $1,000. Got the 2 AverMedia cards that I mentioned for like $110 each from Newegg, is where we got it. I think we got the PC from Tiger Direct. And then we got the 2 Canons, which are $249 a piece. Then we had these Samsung monitors. I use a double monitor setup. I've got 2 of those. They were like $140 a piece, something like that. This Yamaha mixer was $239. That's much bigger than what we need, but what we do here is not only feed the VidBlaster, but we have to feed the house, and we feed the entry room in the back. We feed into a crying room for kids. So we actually have 3 different outs on that. And then we also feed the telephone, because before we were ever webcasting, we started by using like a video conferencing call. And so people could actually call in and hear the service. We still maintain that and we have a number of people who still call that don't have internet at home. Then they're able to call in and hear the services. But that mixer was like $239, and and then VidBlaster Pro is what I'm using. We started out with the home version, but I quickly ran out of modules. Here you can see. Well, now you got this in the screen capture. It shows. I got my cameras across the bottom here, PowerPoint here, my effects 1 here, effects 2 here. My overlays here, my player here. I've got a streamer here, a recorder here, and up behind this little thing is the MPEG recorder. And then we had to use the video out for the Skype, and that was my 15th module. So I'm not able to do anything more. There it is hiding behind there, the video out. But all that to say is that totals like $2,700. So we were able to do everything for like $2,700, and everything brand new. And I'm a great one for scavenging too, but probably not as much as you, Tom, because I like to, again, the same premise. If I buy something or I'm using something, I like to be able to walk in and use it. I don't want to necessarily try to figure it out and fix something that I buy from somebody else. And even if I get a great price on it, I'd rather pay a little bit more and have it work out of the box. But when we did the research that we did, we really, obviously, for less than $3,000, we didn't have to pay any more to be able to have the setup that we wanted to. And so we're very, very pleased with it. In fact, we've actually expanded now. This is still the main setup that I use now, but we've expanded now and purchased an i7 laptop. And now I'm going to violate my rule and go off camera here to get something else. We also bought a brand new full HD Panasonic, which we use when we go out. Now we can take it out and use it on location. And the laptop, the i7 laptop, again from Tiger Direct, was an Asus. i7 works great, and we paid about $1,100 for that. We paid $1,200 for this camera here, and then we're looking at duplicating that actually for some of the business aspects that we're looking into. But we use these for on-location church things. For example, on the 27th, a week ago, Saturday, we had a church picnic, and as part of the picnic, the pastor does a biographical address, and so we webcasted, and from the picnic grounds, and it worked out real well. Again, it was the first time we had actually tried it, so I didn't really promote it, but it worked well. So next time we'll promote it to our people, that we're going to be doing it, and be able to use it. So we can do that with the laptop and with the other cameras, and then not have to take down the stuff that's in the church, because I'd rather just leave it.
Yeah, I know about packing and unpacking the studio to get it on the road. Especially being out on the road and saying, oh yeah, there was a connector, it was this big. Where did that thing go to?
Right.
Ooh, yeah, been there, done that on that one. Well, when we spoke yesterday, you had talked a little bit about bringing in a second PC. Unpack that, share a little bit more what you're thinking on that one.
Well, okay. Before I do that, let me show you this fun little thing here that we were looking at in the pre-show, if I can do it. No, that's not going to work this time. I was using that little iPhone camera that. There you go. Okay. There you go. You see that?
Oh my goodness. So you are broadcasting over your camera's cell phone connection.
I'm using this as a remote camera, and then I can take it up like this, for example, and just kind of, you see, obviously it's not as clear,
right?
Because it's an iPhone, but you just kind of do all kinds of fun things like that, and just dissolve to the real shot. So anyway, that was just a little thing. I got to turn it off because I've lost almost out of battery just with playing with it. But what you were talking about was what we were talking about yesterday when we talked about the show was the idea of doing another show sometime with some of the interesting ways that VidBlaster can be used. What I've discovered in using this thing over the last year is that oftentimes people, including myself, don't even know the right questions to ask to know what all it can do. And so there were a couple of things. For example, I was wanting to do some things with a PowerPoint, and so I was using PowerPoint and doing split screen with PowerPoint, and happened to be looking at Richard Gotarsky's website, WeStreamU, and saw that he had some way that he was actually using the presenter's computer fed right into his computer, so you could see the cursor, and when he changed it, it automatically changed and didn't have to try to match up and that sort of thing with using the PowerPoint in the our computer. So I sent an email to him through the forum, asking him how he did that, and he gave me a real quick answer, and then gave me a wiki link, and I went to that, and that was great. So I used this capture thing. I think it was like an $80 capture thing that brings it right in like a camera, and I used that about a week and a half ago on a presentation, and it worked great. But I didn't even know that was an option until I happened to see it in his. And then I was always thinking that, well, we're really limited to just the amount of effects, the different kind of side-by-side split screens and that sort of thing. And this kind of split screen, no offense, Tom, but this kind of a split screen is probably the most boring thing in the world. And so I always want to try to do something different. And, so that's why I use something like this during the show. Or even better is to have, a side-by-side, but have different sizes. And I thought, well, we're kind of limited. Well, I happened to mention that to you, Tom, about a week and a half ago. And you said, oh, yeah, you just have to use two video effects, and you put one into the other, and you can adjust both sizes, and it works really great. So I'm thinking about this. There's a lot of these things out there that people, this program is so much more capable than a lot of us even realize. But then specifically what we were talking about yesterday was the whole idea of in sports. And, I've watched a lot of the people that are doing sports now. And it's great that this can be used so well, but my mind goes beyond that into the production, and so we were talking about now using the things that I'm aware of, actually having two separate VidBlaster setups, and one of them would basically be just for inputs into the slow motion module, and then that output from that computer would be feeding directly into the main computer as an input. So you'd have to have two licenses for it, but you could have one operator who would do just the slow-mo, and he would be picking out that which is best and feeding it to the main producer person who would be putting it out. So there's so much that you can do to add on to it. It goes beyond the scope of this show with one man, one PC, one awesome show. But there you could have, two men, two PCs, and a great, fantastic, awesome show.
Something that would take ESPN hundreds of thousands of dollars and a huge semi-truck to do.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. It blows my mind. It
Yeah.
just blows my mind. This is the promise of computers from the old CP/M MS-DOS days of what could possibly happen. It's astounding and amazing to see. Let's check in chat and see if we've got any more inquiries there. Somebody was asking about how do you get your video feed into your laptop? Are you using FireWire, or how are you bringing that in?
No, I used to use, when I first was using the trial version, I used to use FireWire because I was using a Sony, an older Sony, and the only thing I could really get in there was one camera. And Sony is about the only people that use FireWire anymore. From what I was told when we were looking at the new one, is that that the USB grabbers are supposed to be working very well. So indeed, that's what we've done. I've got I use a USB grabber right here, for example, that you just plug it in, and you can use the video, 2 audios, or you can use S-video, and it just goes right into the laptop. And what I've found through trial and error is I can use 2 of these grabbers, and then I can use a web camera as a third one, and I can do just fine. But if I then add through this same grabber, I use the device to bring in another computer like a PowerPoint, it freezes up one of the cameras. So what I can do is I can use what I did a week and a half ago when I did this event. I used 2 cameras, and then I used the PowerPoint from the presenter's computer directly in. So I was able to use 3 of them, and all 3, the first 2, all 3 of them were through a device like this. Both cameras were through this device, and the PowerPoint came in through this device. And these were a grand total of $20 a piece. Yep,
those are very cool. Very cool. And folks, if you're watching that, what Jim is showing you is something that generically, or I guess in the trade, is called an easy cap. And you want to be careful when you're buying those, because there are a lot of knockoffs that will work. One will work just fine, but when you get up to 2, the software that comes with it, the drivers that come with it, just won't go to 2. I put a link in the chat. It's ezcap.tv. That's the company that makes the ones that I know have the right chip in them. There may be some others too. If you know, please let me know. And I've used up to 3 of those on a laptop successfully for sports. It's really pretty amazing. Now it's only a standard definition composite feed. I think some of them have an S-video input, but there's not that much difference between S-video and composite.
You could buy these for HD, but they're about 170 a piece as opposed to 20.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder how HD flows through a USB 2.0 port.
It would have to be a 3.0.
It would have to be 3.0.
Yeah. See, I'm talking geek.
And I just assumed you knew what you were talking about.
I only know that because I asked the question.
Well, that's how we learn. Well, I take that back. We some of us, the smart ones, learn by asking questions. The dumb ones of us just learn by making the mistakes. And that's me for sure. I think I've made 50% of the mistakes that are in the book, and the other 50% are yet to come. But there's nothing like having a major screw up and having to find out what happened and fix it to really understand how things are working, so that when things get screwed up again in the future and you need to have a solution just immediately, you've got the knowledge of how things work enough to do that. I see a lot of times folks will post in chat rooms and forums, I want to do this, and this, and they're biting off way more than they can chew, assuming that all you have to do is put it together and it works. Well, in theory, that's true, but there really are lots of little things that have to be hooked together internally just right for things to work as perfectly as we imagine they are. And so it does take some skill, it takes some experience, and it takes starting small and knowing how the small things are functioning, so that as things get bigger and bigger and bigger, you know intimately at every level just how to troubleshoot it and how to make it work.
Well, that's exactly right. We have my partner and I are wanting to begin doing more things for businesses, and yet it's been great now because everything we're doing now is essentially gratis, and so if we mess up, it's okay. But that's how we learn. I would feel really bad charging somebody and then messing up. So we'll get rid of all these bugs and make sure all the pieces work before we ever get to a point of charging somebody for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's if you're thinking about doing something like this as a small business or a side business or even a major business, don't be afraid to give it away in order to, number one, gain some expertise on your own so that you can say in the future, oh yeah, I've done all these events. And number two, it's a great way to get your word out in the community, and it's a great way to give something back to the community if it's a community event.
Exactly.
I've given away, tons of feeds and streams and programs over the years, and the reservoir of goodwill that it builds up. I mean, I still have people will come up to me and say, "I remember 3 years ago when you did this. I can't tell you how important that was to our family because our great uncle was living, and they've got the story of why something like that worked." And who was it? Famous Amos used to. I don't know if he's still in business, but he used to make
That's
chocolate chip
isn't that
cookies.
a cookie?
Yes, chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. Right.
And he started his business in the middle of a recession. I guess it was back in the 70s, and sugar was at an all-time high. Flour was at an all-time high. Interest rates were high. It was not a good time to start business. And he baked cookies and gave them away on the street. And that was the secret to his success, is don't be afraid to give it away. People need to taste what you're doing, especially in a new medium like this. And yeah, we've been streaming and doing stuff for 3 or 4 years, but we've been doing television for, 50 years? Don't be afraid to give it away so people can taste and see what it's like, because then they'll realize the value that's in it. And there are a lot of folks doing that. I think it's great. I think we're going to see more and more folks get into this as a way to pull in a few bucks on the side and to support and encourage what's going on in their community. I was talking with somebody the other day that does Little League football, and they do tons of games of Little League football. And I thought, how great for the kids, how great for the dads and moms that have to travel and can't be there for what's going on with their family. It's not like being there, but it's better than missing it altogether. That's good stuff. Now, Jim, you and I have also talked about putting together a little internet broadcasting business roundtable.
Right.
Tell me what your thinking is on that these days.
Well, it's got kind of the same thing in not even knowing exactly the right questions to ask. I just know that this is so new and so innovative that there are so many different things out there and ways that people can use what we have at our fingertips, can use it not only to help other people, but to actually make money at. It's just a matter of getting the word out. And also, because there are so many of those possibilities out there, it's hard to know which one to do first. And so my idea was if we could get together a number of people that had these different ideas, particularly people in different parts of the country that are not going to be competing with one another necessarily, that what they're finding in their local market is they're able to do with the equipment that is something that could be taken then into another market and used either to be sharing or to be making money or whatever, and try to build on that. Because again, I sit and watch the program with Amnon and both of those programs, and I think about setting up a place to be able to just do interview type programs and have people come in and do those interviews, or even doing them remotely, having somebody through the Skype through the way we're doing it now to do the same type of thing, or whether it would be business meetings or network marketing type of presentations on the web, or whatever these kinds of things are. It would just seem to me, or whether they're sports, and if sports, what kind. I mean, I was talking to a guy the other day that does barbershop quartet gatherings. There's just so many things out there, and I am just myself desirous of building this and using the technology that we've got in as productive a way as possible. And I'd love to be able to bounce some ideas off that I've got off of other people and see, have you tried this in your area, and hear what they're doing in their areas, and see if we couldn't get some things going to kind of help one another to have this thing grow.
I think that's great. If you are watching and are interested in that, shoot me an email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com, and I'll put you on the list to be invited to that. At least the first couple we would probably do sort of privately, just to kind of get some idea what direction we're heading in, and then open it up for more public access. But if you're interested, please let me know or let Jim know. What else was I wanting? Oh, I know, Jim, as you were talking about interesting things people are doing, one of our guests coming up in a couple of weeks is going to be Ken Fishbeck. And Ken broadcasts rodeos. Why not?
Yeah.
And he's using VidBlaster. In fact, he's using a Stream Breeze that he got from Ed Griswold, who was our guest last week. And he said Stream Breeze is working great for him, and he loves VidBlaster, and he's excited about coming on the show. So we'll put in the show on the website exactly when we have Ken invited for, but that's going to be pretty fun.
And you can feel free to put my email address, in the show notes if anybody wants to chat about what we're talking about here, or about the church broadcasting ideas, or anything like that. Feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to communicate in that area.
Okay, good.
Well, I look at the shot, Tom, and I have to tell you that I'm embarrassed. I really am, from my professional background, to be sitting here with one silly light on me and this big shadow back here. But this area is never lit. It's never on camera. So, it looks terrible. But nobody ever sees this. It's out there that they see it, and that's where we've got it lit right. But in here, I just really look like I'm, got this big growth out of the side of my head.
Well, your aspect ratio also changed when you were adjusting for your iPhone, so you went to a skinnier version of yourself.
It did, huh?
And that probably accentuates it. But it's real. I mean, no, it's sorry, that's even skinnier.
Wow. Okay.
So somehow that camera thing got you looking kind of funky.
Okay.
But
right.
it's real. I mean, that's, studios, whether they're permanent studios or temporary studios, are not always pretty places.
Right.
Because there's so much going on. I mean, golly, if you could see what I've got in front of me now, I've got 3 mixers on the desk. I've got a computer halfway torn apart. Yeah, let's switch to the widescreen on that one. There's a lot going on. Yeah, exactly.
Here's where I've got my other feed coming back. That's where can read the chat room, but it's too far away. But yeah, it's all for what it looks like on the screen,
Oh, and want to give a shout out to Terry, who's in the chat room today, and invited him just earlier by email. And Terry would love to talk to you more about VidBlaster and some of the great opportunities there are in using that software. Where you're coming from a TriCaster background, so you already have a concept of what it will do. Except, if we're talking sports, let's add slow motion instant replay on there and a built-in scoreboard and those kinds of things that can really make VidBlaster a perfect tool for broadcasting sports. Probably a scoreboard can be adapted for anything. Because basically you've got 2 fields, 1 for each team name, and 2 more fields that are incremental counters. So there are lots of different ways to do that, and in fact you can use more than 1 scoreboard. So if you wanted to do statistics, 1st and 10 or something like that, you could use it for that as well. There are all sorts of really fun ways to do it. Coming up, we're going to be doing a sports show. Not quite sure when, so check back on the website about that. We've got Ken Fishbeck coming in to tell us about doing rodeo. Jim, I want to talk with you some more and maybe get you to come back and do another show as you develop more and more expertise, pulling in PCs together, both for church purposes as well as for, maybe one as an instant replay station and then as a main broadcasting streaming station. I think this can be a lot of fun. We are flat out of time. I was worried yesterday when we talked, golly, are we going to be able to fill up, 40 minutes? Well, we've gone way over time, so I apologize to those folks that keep waiting for us to finish talking so they can go back to lunch or go back to work or go to bed if you're watching us from Russia. I found out the other day, looking at YouTube, that folks from 86 different countries have been watching our videos. I don't have a clue how they understand the Southern accent, but more power to them. It's a delight. If you'd like to follow us on YouTube, it's That VidBlaster Guy. You can go in there and subscribe to our feed, and YouTube will shoot you an email and let you know when we posted another video. We'd love to have you follow us on Twitter, VidBlaster Guy. They didn't have room for the that, so we're just VidBlaster Guy on Twitter. Or you can shoot me an email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com. We'd love to be in communication with you. And if we can help you, I take troubleshooting calls all the time. I'm glad to help. If it's Friday evening at 7 o'clock and you've got a football game starting at 7:30 and something's not going and you're panicked and you're thinking, what can I do? Give me a call. I think my phone number's on the website. I'll check and make sure. Jim, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Tom, for having me.
What a treat. What a treat. And I recall, what was it, 6 or 8 months ago when we first started talking, you were like, Tom, we're just not doing that much that I think people are going to be interested in. And that's not the case at all. I think what you guys are doing is an inspiration to a lot of folks out there, and they're going to be inspired and move forward with a lot more confidence, knowing that you've already done it, and knowing too that there's some folks they can call on if they run into some problems. So that was very cool. Very cool. Any closing comments for us here, Jim?
No, just like I said before, if anybody does want to contact me, just give them my email address. That would be fine.
We'll put that in the show notes. Yeah.
Be happy to.
Very good. Very good. Well, hat tip to Jim. And thank you all of y'all for tuning in. Those of you that tuned in live, we appreciate you coming on board and in the chat room. We will have a little post show for you in just a minute, so don't go away. And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, we hope you'll tune in next Tuesday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock London time, and it's either 5 or 6 a.m. in Sydney. I'm not sure about this time change thing, so you'll have to check your local listings. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster Guy. Hope you'll come back and join us again real soon.